everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of the build series for the green Chevelle. Firstly, just want to start off by saying I'm really sorry that it's taken so long to get another episode out to you guys. For the past 2 months, things have been really hectic, from me being sick to things that are developing and happening with the race car, which I'm going to get into in a little bit. But this video is going to kind of be a little bit shorter than some of the other ones that have been posted, as I have been sporadically on and off working on the car. It's just the content's not really suitable for anything that's in for a long play format, so I just do a lot of time-lapse photography with some narration over it, just so you guys can get an idea of what's happened, what's going on, and what we're going to be doing moving forward. Before I get into that, though, to talk about the race car. So the car right now is entering its final stages. The car right now, as we speak, is at Cameron Johnson Race Cars chassis shop, and it is having all of the final elements of the car being finished by him. So when the car leaves his shop, he's out of the program. There's nothing more that he has to do, and then we're going to assemble the car. But before it comes back to us for the final time, the car is going to go off and get painted. We do have a painter over in the Lakeland area. He's going to do the paintwork for the car. So we're really excited about that. Once it gets done with painting, it comes back here. We put the car together, and then after that, the real fun begins, and we're going to take the car up to North Carolina to Todd Tuttero's shop. He's putting the motor together for us, and he's kind of been in the background pointing fingers at what direction we need to go and what parts we need to buy on certain elements of the car. So he's putting the motor together, and when the car goes up to him, he's going to do the final assembly and set everything up on the car. And we will definitely be documenting that as the process goes on. I'll be letting you guys know about that up in the coming weeks to follow as they develop. But the big thing that we're going to be working on this go around on the car is we're going to be taking the rear end out of the car, because I have made the decision to change the gear ratio in the rear end of the car. We got a friend of ours who originally did the rear end in this car before. He's got more tools than we have, more knowledge about it. We're going to be converting the ring and the pinion over from a 373 gear, making it a taller gear, to a 355. Just when we converted the car out of the 700 R4 and we put the 4-speed in it, the tires were too short from the tire and wheel combination that we had before, and the car was just not very fun to drive. You had to really spin the motor up just to even go 55, 60 miles an hour. So it really needed a taller gear on it. This way it would calm the car down a little bit, make it a little bit more enjoyable to drive. The other thing that we will be working on is removing the gas tank. Originally, when we put this car together the first time back in the early 2000s, we're talking 2003, 2004 area, there was no such thing as a fuel tank that you could buy for these muscle cars that was designed for electronic fuel injection, that had return lines or any kind of provision for an electronic fuel pump. Everything was basically the factory style pump, where the pump was up on the block and it was siphoning fuel out of the tank to go up to the motor. They didn't have anything that was designed for an electric fuel pump to go down into the tank and send the fuel to the motor. That's all different now because of resto mod cars being very prevalent today. They now make fuel tanks for these cars that fit, look the part, but they are designed for electronic fuel injection pumps with return fuel lines to go back to them. So I'm going to take the opportunity, since the car is being disassembled basically, and I'm going to swap the fuel tank over This way it's cleaner, because the last time we did this, my dad and I had to completely modify the tank. We had to cut the top of the tank out and change the opening, make it bigger so that the sending unit and the pump could go in there. It was really just a hack job. It works, but it's just not optimal for what we're trying to do to make everything as clean as possible. And then the other thing I did work on off camera was I did take off the front wheel hubs on this car. The master cylinder on this car did leak, and it leaked backward into the power brake booster. And when it did that, it destroyed the bladder inside, but it also seeped between the master cylinder and the booster housing, and it leaked down onto the frame rail on the driver's side of the car. And if you've had any experience before, you know what happens to paint and brake fluid. It's probably the world's best paint stripper, and it took off some of the paint on the frame rail, and it allowed it to rust a little bit. Not anything too scary, not anything horrendous, but we are going to be cleaning that up. So the backing plates also got rusted because the wheel cylinders in the front, they leaked, and it got brake fluid all over the backing plate to the front suspension, and it's got rust streaks going all down it, and it's just better off that I take it completely off, clean it, and then once it's clean, put it together at the same time of also putting all the brakes back together on the front of the car. So those are going to be the three things that we're going to talk about. So the first thing we're going to cover is taking out that fuel cell. So the first thing we remove is the fuel feed line rubber hose, which was cracked and was causing fuel to get everywhere. So that was the first thing that we ended up removing. After that was removed, we took off the ground strap for the sending unit, and then started removing the breather lines from their hold position in the car. Next, we cut off the return fuel hose because it was really hard to get off and the fuel had caused it to get hard. Now we use a floor jack to support the fuel tank. We then move to the trunk to remove the wiring harness for the sending unit for the fuel level. And then the final step is to loosen and remove the bolts for the front of the fuel tank straps. And once those are completely loose, then we just use the floor jack to slowly lower the fuel tank out of the car and drag it completely out of the way and out of the car. All right, so you can see we got the gas tank out, but I just kind of wanted to show you what we did a long time ago. We actually cut a section out of an old gas tank and put it on the new gas tank when it was new back then. So the reason we had to do this is because we had to cut a large opening in the gas tank so that the sending unit and the fuel pump could go in simultaneously, but still fit the factory look. And over here, you can see we had to braze on a third line for the fuel return for the EFI system, because the other two hoses are for breathers for the tank so that it can breathe. But pretty much that was what we kind of put together. This way we could get a factory carbureted fuel cell to work with electronic fuel injection. Before we go and install the new fuel cell, I'll be showing you guys what that looks like and what they've changed to make that more compatible with the cars today. So I didn't have enough time to show all of the recording for removing the rear end. That will be in the next video, but I did at least want to show me getting the fluid out of the rear end. This way you could see some kind of progress being made on this particular topic. So all I do is just loosen all of the bolts so that the cover doesn't come completely off. And then once I break it free, I let the fluid drain while using as the cover as a restrictor. This way it doesn't pour everywhere. and then all I do is let it sit overnight and completely drain. All right, guys. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for this episode. So hopefully the next episode we'll be going into a lot more detail on what we're going to be doing moving forward with the car. Most likely the next thing we're probably going to be tackling is taking apart the 502, because that thing is dirty inside and it does need to be cleaned. So that's probably going to be the next step. Unless something else comes up that's more advantageous, then we'll tackle it on that angle. Definitely want to give a shout out to a lot of our supporters. We've definitely been noticing that the traffic on our Fast Fish Motorsports website has been ticking up, and the shirt sales are actually picking up a little bit. If you guys don't already know, we do have an independent website outside of all of our social media accounts, fastfishmotorsports.com. It has information on the race car. It's a little outdated. We do need to get that website updated, but you can buy some parts, merchandise, and there are shirts that are for sale. These are the shirts that came out back around 2016, 2017 of the first iteration of the green Chevelle. Once the new Chevelle, the Pro Mod, is finished, there will be new shirts made for that car, and then these shirts will most likely be discontinued. We got a lot of them in stock, and every dime helps. All that money goes towards our racing operation. It definitely helps offset the costs. But like I've said before, like, subscribe, and follow along for more details and keep up with everything that we're doing, and I'll see you in the next episode.